How's it going, guys? So I hope you're all done recuperating after the latest chapter of Tokyo Ghoul. I was not expecting the content that we were going to get within this chapter, and just the revelations we got with not only Mutsuki's character. I think that overshadows everything we got within this chapter, but the whole second half I feel definitely got overshadowed a lot. I really like the all Amon, Takizawa and Kuro fight, and Takizawa having to go full Kakaja mode in order to go up against Amon's Kakaja, but I really feel like that part of the chapter was very simple and doesn't really need a lot of explanation. But this whole first part with the backstory, with the flashback that we got with Mutsuki meeting Haise for the first time, like with her going to the Cafe with Haise and getting jealous about Toka and Haise and all that stuff, and then coming to the realization that she is actually in love with Haise, and then the whole stuff with Uta. It was just absolutely craziness. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about this for the upcoming days to come, and I feel like this is going to be a hot topic for everyone. But this video right here is just basically going to be a discussion, and then going back to past chapters, because I actually, once I got done reading this chapter, I went back to past chapters, and a lot of these chapters are in the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul, and the revelations and the foreshadowing that Ishida did within this series, it blows my mind that the fact that not only with like certain characters, how he's able to foreshadow events, that he's had plans. He plans this all out so well, and the fact that he's able to foreshadow it so many chapters back and to get the revelations now is absolutely astonishing. But I just want to get right into the characters of Mutsuki and Haise / Kaneki, because if you actually think about it, I took notes too, because we got to talk about this shit, because this is like, I think, gonna make a lot of people either pissed or like a lot of people are gonna be talking back and forth, especially online, about this, because Mutsuki herself or his self, just right there with me having to say his / herself, is a very controversial issue, because you'll piss off people when you say that Mutsuki is a boy, and you'll piss off people when Mutsuki is stated as a girl. You can't win either way. I'm just going to be stating her as a girl, because with the revelations and how she's portraying herself in the recent chapter, she's falling back on her more feminine characteristics and her feminine gender, and because I know that she likes to see herself as a male. But Mutsuki and Haise / Kaneki have been very similar, and of course from the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul we can actually see this, like, as it plays out throughout every chapter, that Mutsuki is like a mirror image of Kaneki with some of their traits. They both have tragic pasts, they both have experienced torture, and have both been tortured around their birthdays, and they both wear eye patches, and they both have the nickname Eye Patch. Back in Tokyo Ghoul Part 1, Kaneki was known as the Eye Patch Ghoul. He wore an eye patch a lot, and now in Tokyo Ghoul we have Mutsuki getting introduced, and she / he is wearing an eye patch as well, and becomes to be known as the nickname Eye Patch. And they both have suppressed memories as well. And the list can go on and on about the many similarities between these two characters. But since the beginning of and since me going back after reading this chapter, and going back to the very first chapter of Tokyo Ghoul, Mutsuki is always around Haise. And I kind of just took this as, he is the leader of the group, and Mutsuki is just the type of character that has a good relationship with Haise. Mutsuki looks up to him, and she, in a way, just kind of views him as a mentor figure. And you can tell that she's very enthusiastic. She likes being on missions with Haise. She seems to always compliment him and tell him that he's always doing a good job. And when you're first reading this through, you don't pick up on any romantic interest at first, because when I first read this, I did not see that coming at all. And I know that after the auction arc, people were shipping Ure and Mutsuki like crazy, and I think that ship right now is under fire and is about to be sunk, because with the revelations we got with Mutsuki having romantic feelings for Haise. But this goes all the way back, because I think what stems and what started this romantic feelings that Mutsuki was developing for Haise is because you got to look at how Haise is the type of person that treats Mutsuki like any other person. It's regardless of gender. He doesn't look at whether Mutsuki's a boy or a girl. He just treats her like a person. And I think that's the first time in Mutsuki's life that someone of the male gender has actually treated her just like anyone else, because Mutsuki has stated throughout the series that men and male characters tend to look at her differently. She can tell when a man is looking at her. She hates the look and the gaze that male characters or the male gender gives to her as a female, and she actually hates that fact. And I think this goes into even a deeper thing, because since Haise is like the one strong male character within her life, I can understand now why she has developed these romantic feelings for his character, because this is the first male character within her life to actually treat her not like shit. He actually treats her with respect. he respects Mutsuki, and Mutsuki has picked up on that. And going back into like chapters 10 through 13, going back, I was like, holy crap, I can't believe that Ishida actually foreshadowed all this. So I'm going to be putting up images on here, and it's very funny too, because after reading this chapter, I immediately went back and looked into, you know, the past chapters. I started at chapter 1 and just started skimming through, looking for panels where either Mutsuki and Haise were together, and just trying to see the dialogue and the interactions and the mannerisms that they were drawn in, to see if there's any inklings of, you know, any romantic feelings from Mutsuki towards Haise. So now I have a lot of tabs up right now, so I'm going to get into these right here because I'm starting off with chapter 10. Now you can actually start by reading off chapter 9 near the end, when Haise, Shirazu, and Mutsuki actually end up going to the Cafe Ri and running into Toka and Renji. But in the beginnings of chapter 10, I'm on page 3, and they've just left the Ri Cafe, and there's like a dialogue between Shirazu and Haise and Mutsuki, and this is where I kind of had a freak out moment, because if you look at the bottom left panel, I'm going to read through at least just this bottom section right here. They're leaving the Ri Cafe, and Shirazu notices, and he even states, he's been acting kind of weird since leaving the shop, don't you think? And you can see Mutsuki in the background doesn't really have her face drawn in, but then in the next panel, we get a zoom in on her face, and she looks kind of upset and kind of worried, and she says, I wonder what's wrong. And in the next panel over, it says, who knows? And you can see that Mutsuki is kind of grabbing the bottom of her trench coat, where she's kind of like where her, you know, female parts are located. And we tend to see this actually throughout the chapters. And when I first went back and read this part of the chapter, I had a freak out moment, because this is when I kind of realized that this is the foreshadowing. And here's a little reenactment for you guys right now, because I literally got up like this and was walking and pacing around my room, and it was just like, you gotta be kidding me right now. I was literally like, Ishida is a genius. Ishida planned this out since the beginning of Ri. He had this kind of foreshadowed in little pieces that you wouldn't pick up on in the beginning, and right now going back and having the revelations and the knowledge we have of Mutsuki's relationship and romantic feelings towards him, you start to see the signs pop up here and there. So chapter 10, page 3 is the first sighting that I could see of this happening. So now going in a little bit further, we're still within chapter 10, but now we're on page 14. This is the part when they're going back to CCG. You know, Psycho is still asleep, and Shirazu rushed in to, you know, go wake her up, and the gang is still in the car. And this dialogue right here is where I got the second inkling of the romantic feelings towards Haise, because it's in the top panels. Mutsuki says to them, how is he gonna wake her up? And Haise goes, she didn't even wake up when I was drumming on the table. And then this is where the bottom panel kicks in, where she's like, Sasaki? And he goes, yeah? And she goes, it's nothing. And I think that this right here, she was gonna bring up the thing that happened at Ri when she noticed, you know, with Toka coming in, and how Haise was acting a lot differently, because I think this is when she started to get more jealous and starting to realize that her emotions, she's trying to keep them at bay because she doesn't want to say anything right here. This was the second inkling I got of when, you know, Mutsuki's relationship and her romantic feelings towards Haise actually popped up. So now we're going to go a little bit further into Ri. We're on page 17 now of chapter 10, and this is where they go back to the shop, and you can kind of tell that like Mutsuki's starting to realize, you know, more and more that Heise's acting differently. You keep going down more and more, and this is where the chapter actually ends with, you know, Haise crying and Toka coming over with the napkin. And of course, as we got in this chapter, that flashback we got in chapter 114 pertains to this scene in particular, and it actually continues it, because this is where we get to see Mutsuki's perspective, and this is where she starts to get that jealousy and hatred towards Toka, because she's kind of like coming in and like stealing her man in a way, and Mutsuki is not happy about that at all. And so I can't believe, because I did not remember any of this happening, because I have not reread Ri at all since I actually started it when it started way back like 2 years ago. So I've reread part 1 a lot more than I have Tokyo Ghoul Ri at all. So a lot of this is still not fresh in my mind, and I can't remember or recollect a lot of the events that happened. So moving along from that, we also have in chapter 13. A lot of this is in the early chapters within volumes 1 and 2 of Tokyo Ghoul Ri, because this is where we have the second time that Mutsuki grabs the bottom of her pants or skirt, or, you know, at least like closer to where like this is where she kind of looks nervous in a way. So if we go to chapter 13 on page 6, this is when they're in the disguise and they're doing that investigation disguised as girls. And, you know, Mutsuki is a little like embarrassed and ashamed of like, you know, dressing up as a girl again. And we have girl Haise, you know, dressed up as a girl right now. He's saying, it's okay, you're cute. And this is where Mutsuki kind of looks at him in shock, and she's like, you know, she nervously says thanks, but here she says, it's not that I'm worried about that. It's kind of embarrassing, because I think that her dressing up like this and having that compliment come from Haise, she's starting to, you know, that those feelings for a romance or a love for Haise is still bubbling within her. She's just suppressing it right then and there. So these are just like some of the panels. There could be more, but these are just the ones I wanted to look at, the early chapters of Tokyo Ghoul, and just the fact that we got this, because I know this is going to be a hot subject among Tokyo Ghoul fans for the week to come until the latest chapter comes out, you know, chapter 115, once that comes out and whatever pertains in that chapter, because if it continues off with Uta and, you know, Mutsuki's, you know, little gangbang that's going on down there, I'm not sure what revelations we're going to get, because I hear a lot of people saying, like, could that be Uta, or is it someone else? Did Uta disguise someone else as a person, you know, just to, like, disguise his face? Is he performing a similar technique that Donato did, and does he have a clone just in the stand-in form? Because a lot of people, like, especially when you look at his face and just how destroyed Uta looks in that final panel, I'm actually going to go to it right now, because that final panel, when you see his face as it got destroyed, it absolutely looked obliterated. Like, his face is absolutely destroyed. So let's see, where is it? Here it is. Yep, on page 9 of chapter 114, when she's just laying on top of his body, kind of like very romantically too. And Uta, if he's still alive right here, he's got to be enjoying this. He's just like, oh, well, I'm not going to do anything here. Because honestly, this is where the craziness sets in, and you get the revelations, you know, that Mutsuki is on top of Uta, just grinding away, just taking off her top, and she's just going to town right now because she thinks that that is Haise. And this is definitely going to be a hot topic for a lot of people. So this is just a discussion, like I said, of just what the hell has happened, because I definitely want to hear from a lot of you guys, your thoughts on what transpired this chapter, because this was an intense chapter. I went into this not expecting any of this. And woo, Mutsuki, goddamn. She went to town on Uta, destroyed his face, and then just went on to destroying the rest of him. Wow. Like, I'm still in shock of what transpired this volume, or this chapter for that matter. Ishida has no chill. That's all I can say about Ishida. Like, he just went in and just did not care what the fans thought, because apparently what I'm hearing, because I watched Chibi's reaction and I also watched Sun Wukong's reaction, and apparently Tumblr's in like disarray, does not know what to do. I don't go on Tumblr, so I have no idea what the hell's going on over there, but apparently shit's going down and people are upset, and I can kind of understand why, but I'm not upset in the slightest. I mean, I just love the story of Tokyo Ghoul, and this just like, it still like shocks me too, but it's just like, I kind of like sitting down, remaining calm, looking back at what has transpired so far. I can understand now, looking back and with the knowledge that we have, I completely understand Mutsuki's mindset, even though that Mutsuki has been very deranged and derailed ever since the Rue Island torture she received from Torso. This is just, that torture scene basically allowed her to reconnect with the suppressed memories that she's had, and her truer self, I guess you could say, because she doesn't bottle up anything anymore. All of her rage, all of her anger, all of her emotions tend to come up now, and this is just one of those emotions that she was suppressing for so long, and it finally just came to a head with her seeing Haise's face on Uta, and this is where she just snapped completely in a different direction and, you know, just had her way with Uta, who she probably doesn't even realize that it's Uta at this point. I think she just realizes that Haise is in front of her, and she's just gonna have her way with him any way that she can. So I definitely want to hear from you guys. Leave comments down below about what you guys thought about this chapter, and if you guys did not see my live reaction, definitely go check it out, because I went in blind, and oh my god, I did not expect any of that. And also, go back to the chapters I mentioned within this, and just go back and look at those past chapters of Tokyo Ghoul, and just to see for yourself what you guys think about Mutsuki's, you know, newfound love that we just got revealed in this chapter. Like, it still shocks me. So definitely leave your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on the whole situation. Are you guys upset with this reveal? Are you guys fine with this reveal? Are you guys really fine with this reveal? And did you have any qualms with, you know, Mutsuki grinding and straddling Uta in that bottom panel on page 9? Because as Sun Wukong said in his live reaction, I have a feeling too that this page this panel right here is going to live on for a little while, and people are going to be talking about it for a good while. So that's it for this discussion, guys. I'm really looking forward to the next chapter that comes out, because chapter 115, if it continues with this information, I really can't wait to see what that transpires and what happens, especially with right here with like this character. I always forget this character's name. Like, I gotta look him up right now. I feel so bad that I always forget his name. Let's see. Aura, that's his name, Aura. Yeah, when Aura rounds that corner and sees Mutsuki doing what she's doing the deed, doing the dirty deeds, I don't know if he's going to report this, tell Psycho and Ure, or if he's going to keep quiet about this. So chapter 115 is definitely going to be very interesting, and I really can't wait for next week. Like, I just can't wait to have the discussions and just be able to talk about what the next chapter will bring us. So, like I said, end of this discussion. Leave your thoughts down below. Subscribe to my channel if you want to get more Tokyo Ghoul content, because I'm going to be providing a lot more, and just leave your thoughts down below. So that's the end of this video, guys. I look forward to talking with you throughout the week, and look forward to chapter 115 coming out next Saturday. And until then, I'll talk with you guys then. All right, guys. See you later.